Pepsid Complete knows that food is one of the best parts of game day. That is, until heartburn strikes. Thankfully, just one chewable tablet of Pepsid Complete provides dual-action heartburn relief with an antacid that starts working instantly and an acid reducer that lasts all day. So you can stay focused on that second helping of chili without worrying about heartburn. All day based on 8-hour symptom relief studies during the day. Use product only as directed.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your issue splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Give me that. To the trends. See you, Lee, be the band.
Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. I'm your host, June, and some of the things that we talk about backstage are very interesting, I must say. I won't get into it, but I kind of got thrown off by what we were talking about. But anyway, if I can get you guys to subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube and follow us for your audio fix on all the aggregators, just type in Bleachers and Speakers, FFSN in your search. Those are platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Search, make sure you hit that notification bell on, make sure you're following us. And so when we drop content like this, you'll get an alert. Download those episodes. I got my boy B. Foster with me. I'll let everybody introduce themselves around the room. This is Who Will Be King, our weekly segment that we do together for the NFC North. So we'll start with you, Dave. Introduce yourself and tell the people where they can find you, just in case they've been living under a rock and haven't been paying attention.
Hey, everybody, it's Dave. I'm from Vikings First and Skull. I represent the Vikings in this collaboration of absolute fun contributors as we talk our NFC North teams and how they will do last season, this season, coming up season, and always against the Packers. So you can find me on Vikings First and Skull YouTube, any podcast aggregator, and over at Fans First Sports Network. We do some writing over there as well.
All righty. Pay, introduce yourself.
You all know the name, Pay. I'm one of the many creators over at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel /podcast, where we cover all the colorful words to describe the Chicago sports scene. Interesting sports teams in Chicago. That is the Bulls, Blackhawks, and the Bears, and amongst the many.
B. Foster.
Yes, B. Foster, one half of Bleachers to Speakers. You can catch us on YouTube at Bleachers to Speakers and all audio aggregators at Bleachers to Speakers as well. And we have written pieces on ffsn.com.
All righty, fellas, the season is over, and for the most part, we all failed. I mean.
Well, that was a show, guys. Well,
let's just wrap this thing up. That's all that needs to be said. I want to go around the room. I want to ask, what did you learn most about your team this year? And I kind of want to hear from Pay first. I mean, he sets everything off at times. So, Pay, I'm going to ask you this question. What did you learn about your team this year? Well, should I say positively? Because
I mean, if you want to go down that lane, sure, we can talk about the positives if that's what you prefer.
I want you to tell me everything you learned. What did you learn about your Chicago Bears?
Well, what I learned about my Chicago Bears, let me see, something I didn't know going in already. I would probably say that the team is a little bit confused, and I don't mean to confuse in a sense of like, you know, having a transformation in that sense. I think it's a little bit confusing, sort of like where they want to be, what they want to do, what they want to look like. They built an arena, they built an indoor type of roster for a team that plays on probably the worst turf situation in the league, an outdoor stadium. So that's the confusion number one. The two, they didn't have any type of idea of what type of culture, what type of trendsetters they needed in the building. I didn't know how important culture was until they broke camp and some other things became more obvious. I knew some players shouldn't be on the squad, but I figured like, hey, you know, we can scheme around them and they'll figure it out eventually. But no, you can't figure out eventually bad culture, bad practice habits, zero desire to play football, right? So that's the second thing I learned. Like you can't out coach bad habits. Those things need to be cut at the root and stem. They need to be cleaved. And hopefully this offseason we're cleaving all that out. And it's the last thing I probably learned is like how much cancerous tumors were in their locker room. We heard ad nauseum towards the end of the second half of the season that, you know, a lot of guys aren't challenged enough. A lot of guys don't respect the what they're getting from the coaches. A lot of guys were hoping that they have a coach that in there that was hold them more accountable. I don't know. You're a grown man. You know, you're professional. You're professional in your craft. Why does somebody need to hold you accountable? You should look in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. But that just speaks to the deeper issue of that team that Ryan Post put together. Hopefully he's with the new coaching staff that's been brought in and the let's say stern talking to he's gotten from his bosses that some of his power has been reined in, and now you got to explain some of the additions you make from this point on.
Okay. Dave, what did you learn about your team this year?
Well, patience. You got to wait on what's good and right because they tore their meniscus in the first preseason game. For those that don't know, I'm referring to J.J. McCarthy, the future of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, it's that one, you've got to have better than average on the offensive line to win the Super Bowl. You have to have better than average on the defensive line to win the Super Bowl. You need some big hosses that can move people to advance. Yeah, you can have all the aerial attack in the world, and the Vikings do. Right? Kevin O'Connell can scheme some great pass attacks and just demolish teams with them. But as soon as you get against somebody that can push up the middle and make your quarterback uncomfortable, i.e. Detroit or the Rams, it all falls apart. So you need to be able to fix those things. And whether it comes from coaching or whether it comes from talent that you acquire in free agency or through the draft, those things are a necessary thing for the Minnesota Vikings to take the next step. Let's hope they do it.
B. Foster, what did you learn about your Detroit Lions this year?
One thing I definitely learned, if nothing else, is that depth is key. You can never have enough able-bodied individuals because injuries, it's a very physical game, and injuries will derail your season. I think that we did a pretty good job of maneuvering and making adjustments, but yeah, we should never look at our roster and say, hey, we got too many corners, we got too many defensive linemen, we got too many this or that, because there's always a chance that the next man up mentality will have to be utilized. But also, we went into last offseason knowing that we needed an edge rusher. And here we are in the next offseason, and we still are looking for upgrades to our pass rusher edge, from the edge quantity. So hopefully we can get it right this year. Obviously, we didn't anticipate the centerpiece of our franchise, Hutch, being out for the year, but yeah, we need as many as we can get through the door is what we need to try to do.
Okay. And maybe I should have started the episode off with congratulating the Philadelphia Eagles for their Super Bowl win. We're not, we're not sour sports over here. I mean, we have good sportsmanship. We just don't like the Packers. That's it. Other than that, long as it wasn't the Packers, we were good. Right. And the NFC held the title. I mean, NFC claimed the title, so we're okay with that. We're not tripping. But looking at did you guys all get a chance to watch the Super Bowl? Let's talk about the game itself. I personally not surprised that Philly won. I'm just surprised how they won. They were very dominant, especially defensively, in that first half. And it was like, that's what you need up front defensively to win playoff and Super Bowl. Like, that front line, that defensive line of theirs was outstanding. Outstanding. Dave, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Hey, that defensive line got pressure on the quarterback 50% of the time, and they blitzed 0. It was just the front four. And that to me is amazing. And it shows you how, if you build it right, it will dominate. And the fact that, and they weren't going against slouches. Trey Smith, the best free agent guard in the league coming out this season, he got beat. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have a great center and another decent guard. They just couldn't handle it. That's why I'm thinking, I hope the Vikings take a lesson from that. And it may be that we're getting more cyclic or that the NFL is cyclic, and we're going back to a more power run game type situation with teams. Well, the way to defeat power on the offensive line is to defeat it on the defensive line. And the way Philadelphia built up both lines, offense and defense, is a clinic. It should be studied, because of the way that defensive line created so much pressure and so much havoc, and 6 sacks. 6 against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
who, hopefully 10 years from now we'll be discussing who's better, Brady or Mahomes. And it's going to be interesting when you get your butt whooped like they did, like Kansas City did. And that's one of the biggest in Super Bowl history. Mm-hmm. Now, the final score wasn't as much of a blowout as people look at just that. But that game was a blowout.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah. It was a couple of garbage time touchdowns by the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. But was it 31-0 or 24-0 at one point?
Yes. No, I think Kansas City had scored by then. But it was
definitely 24-0 for sure.
Right. Okay. And then there was 24-6, and then they went.
Yeah. And it wound up being 24-6 now because they went for 2, but it was 31-6 at one point.
Yeah, but our division mates, I'm hearing all this week, hey, we almost beat them with a backup quarterback in the first week of the season. How good are we going to be next year? We're going to win the NFC North. I'm like, yeah, right. In your dreams.
It's 1 week at a time. You can't go by your first week for sure, knowing them. Pay, what was your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Well, sticking with the theme of what did we learn, something I did learn and that I'm still hoping that I at some point could correct itself. I learned that they don't listen to my show at Hallis Hall. If they did, they'd have not done half the shit that they did. One of the things that they should not have done was let Jalen Carter get away from them. They passed on Jalen Carter twice in that draft. And Jalen Carter has put egg on the Bears' face every week in his NFL career. And now he's a champion. Now he's a champion. And the guy we drafted instead of Jalen Carter, again, we passed on him twice. The guy we drafted instead of Jalen Carter is Darnell Wright. And I can't tell you if Darnell Wright should even get a second contract with the Bears. I have no idea yet. But yeah. Watching that game, and I'm not going to BS you all. I did not watch that game fully. After my slips hit, or some of them didn't hit, I said I don't need to watch this anymore. The game was pretty much finito halfway through the third quarter. But the tenor set by the Philadelphia Eagles early in that game was very reminiscent to something I learned from my mom years ago when I didn't do what I had to do, what I was supposed to do. She had told me, like, hey, my belt ain't tasted ass in a long time. And that's exactly what the Eagles came into that game telling Kansas City, like, hey, we ain't had no kicks across this belt in a minute. And we about to get something tonight. And they got some all night for 4 hours straight. You said it, Dave, 50% pressure rate, not one blitz. Fangs was in his bag all Sunday evening. That was just a masterclass. And I want to say that yeah, the book is out on Kansas City, but we knew this book already. Tampa Bay did it a couple of years ago. They put pressure all up in Patrick Mahomes' face, and he looked pretty, I don't want to say ordinary because Pat is never ordinary. I mean, now he is. He's a game manager now, but still. I said it. The book has been out. The book has been out. Philadelphia is a different type of beast. I think instead of kind of copy what they did, we need to copy what they did in the offseason. Not what they do in game, what they did in the offseason, because they completely remade that team in the offseason. They had 9 additions on defense by themselves in this offseason. They brought in Fangs. Kellen Moore was I believe he's a promotion. This is a master class of how you can go. They won last, but you can go. You can change your trajectory around in just a few months. Hint, hint. Bears, get it together.
B. Foster, your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
This was a game where Philadelphia, and they've done this all year, but they won this battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball. It looks like the Chiefs made a conscious effort to shut down Saquon Barkley, and they did a pretty good job of that. He didn't have any touchdowns in the game, but where Barkley wasn't able to be effective in the running game, Jalen Hurts was able to pick up the slack. They went into the offseason knowing that they wanted to improve their secondary. They drafted Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, and then they re-signed CJ Gardner-Johnson. The fact that they were able to not blitz one time, and I think part of that was because they did have a young secondary, so I don't think they wanted to put that pressure on them. But being able to get the amount of pressure that they got, it kind of takes some pressure off of their young secondary. But as they grow and develop, they'll be able to take more chances, and that's going to make them even more scary. So, it starts in the trenches. They have a really strong offensive line, and obviously they have that defense is stacked. I mean, they got Carter, they got Jordan Davis, they got Brandon Graham, who I think is retiring. He's going out. I think he's retiring after this year. But they got Josh Sweat, who's a free agent that I think the Lions have been kind of keeping an eye on. So they did it right, and they definitely put out a nice little blueprint of what you can do to build a championship ball team.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we get back. We'll talk some more NFC North. We'll talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl. And if you're watching, give us about 10 seconds. If you're listening, you'll hear some wonderful ads from our sponsors. All right. So my take on the Super Bowl was I saw a team out there, Philly, and it's basically piggybacking off what Foster said. The Cooper DeJean and the Quinyon Mitchell picks were just great picks. They're contributors early, and to go with that pass rush that they have, if you don't have to blitz, if you can get home with your front four, that makes everything you don't have to. He didn't have any room to run. Mahomes did. He tried to escape him a couple of times, and there was really nowhere to go with the football. Your linebackers are dropping back in zone. Your safeties are helping out. You're not blitzing, and the pocket collapsing. There was nothing he could do. He's just, he's just getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And, it was masterful. The defense played very, very outstanding in that first half. And that's something that I envision one day that the Lions could be. I think, and one of the things I learned from is, things can happen that can change your course. And I'm not pointing any fingers or making any excuses, but ultimately with our pass rush, our lack of pass rush was basically due to injury. It wasn't because of the players' inability. It's just we lost Hutch. We lost Davenport. We lost McNeil. So, that's what I'm not saying they would have had the production that Philly had up front, but man, we went into the season knowing we need a pass rush, and we wound up not having one at the end of the season. So it's, it was one of those things we know we needed and we didn't get. So it is what it is. We on to the next season. This upcoming season, fellas, I want to know, have you started doing your homework? We have free agency coming up. I think that's March 12th, correct?
That's the beginning of the new league year, yes.
Okay, March 12th. Do you have your wish list ready? Dave, I know you have a wish list. If you don't want to say who it is, cool. But have you started working on your free agent wish list?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. And The Vikings are talking, do we replace 1, 2, or all 3 of our interior offensive linemen in free agency? And then there's also, do we get a big defensive line guy? Could we trade for Simmons or Sexy Dexy or somebody like that? The kid for Philly, who's scheduled to be a free agent, that what's his name, Williams, on the defensive line, who had 2 sacks himself. He went from, they're estimating $12 million a year contract to about a $20 million a year just because of that one game.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Somebody that can disrupt up the middle. We've got 2 good edge rushers. I'm not worried about our edges. It's the up the middle part. Because what's the quickest way to the quarterback? Up the middle. It's the shortest distance.
Yeah.
And if you can get that, combine that with 2 good edge rushers, you create havoc.
Yeah.
And that's the way you beat teams. That's the way the Minnesota got beat this year. That's the way obviously Kansas City got whooped. It's a recipe that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, have you started on your free agent wish list? Y'all got a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, for like the 3rd year in a row. Hopefully we spend it this year. No more that bargain shopping, saving money for a rainy day. Because it don't do nothing but rain and we still don't do nothing with it. But could I fill in blank with names? Not necessarily, because
you can
this
go by
free agent class doesn't. Well, yeah, the positions are easy. I mean, that's easy. Everybody fat. If your job description is I move people, I need you on this team. I need
a whole spreadsheet built full of those guys.
We're gonna have to do some collaboration there, Dave, because I need all the names of all the guys that A is over 295 pounds and B moves people.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to do some personal calls? It seems like you're going to do some personal recruiting for an offensive line.
I might have to, because I don't know if Ryan Poles is up to the task. Even though he's a former offensive lineman, it should be up his wheelhouse. He should love the guys who put their hands in the dirt, but instead he likes wide receivers. I don't get it. And this free agent class is chock full of wide receivers. I cannot tell you what I would do if we spend any type of real money on another wide receiver. I cannot. June, I'm gonna have to. You're gonna see me show up one day on these shows. I'm gonna have a hat on. He's like, "Hey, Patty, what's up with the hat? You usually let your hair flow. You usually let your scalp breathe." Like, I can't show you what I got going on underneath the hat because I pulled my hair out. I got to figure that out. So I don't want to see another hood ornament on this car. We need to get into the guts, get underneath that hood, get some linemen. I think the whole offensive line maybe save Darnell Wright because we did only draft him 2 years ago. So he still has an opportunity to prove himself. But the entire line can be flipped. The entire defensive line, well, half of the defensive line could be flipped. We definitely get an upgrade in some respects along that line. We've been saying that for a couple of years. I sound like a broken record in that respect. Our middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, our high paid, I think the second highest paid defensive player we have. I haven't seen him on tape since we gave him that check. I'm watching the all 22s and he's not making any splash plays. He's had 3 tackles behind the line of scrimmage all season. You can't be getting paid close to $20 million a year, and you cannot make behind the line of scrimmage tackles. Can't do it. The reason why we suck so bad in run defense this year is because he's getting blown up at the point of attack. He's getting thrown around. That's not how linebackers are supposed to be done. Linebackers are supposed to strike fear in the hearts of regular men and regular football players. Instead, he's getting tossed. Can't have that. We can definitely cut him and, get some more money out there to spend and get somebody cheaper who's going to actually put his nose in somebody's chest plate, something like that. So those are just some of the few. We probably will try to upgrade. Maybe not use the word upgrade, but do something with that backfield. If you recall, we broke camp with 6 running backs last year, and this is again how I know they don't listen to my show up there at Hallis Hall. I asked the question, who the family show, who the hell has 6 running backs on their roster? The Chicago Bears. And what was the results? 5-win team. It makes no sense. See, these type of decisions you don't need to be doing again. See, these are the things you got to learn. Course correction along the way. Like, hey, we need help in these areas. We don't need 6 running backs, right? Now,
do you want a glimmer of hope?
What's the glimmer of hope?
All right. My fan base is talking about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and how he screwed up, especially the first draft. Got a little better in the second and hope better in the third. He's going into his 4th year. Obviously, Ryan Poles is going into his 4th year. But they're being compared to Howie Roseman from the Eagles. Oh, man, Howie drafted all those great players. And he did. But if you look at his first 2 years as a GM, his was horrible.
Well, you get help along the way, right?
Right.
Again,
and you learn and your processes grow and everything else. So if everybody's process can grow, doesn't mean it will, but can grow, that may give you a little glimmer of hope.
I have no other choice but to have that glimmer of hope, Dave. I can only hope that Ryan Poles is learning from his mistakes, multiple mistakes that he's made in the offseason 2 years in a row. Because the Philadelphia Eagles, they got the best center in the game thanks to Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles passed on him twice in that draft. Thanks a lot. Those type of that type of help that Howie Roseman got is from Ryan Poles. Now we need somebody else to start giving Ryan Poles some help. Will that happen? We'll just see.
And on the linebacker question, why can't you bring in somebody like Brian Urlacher or somebody to talk to them? Bring them back to the old tradition of Bears linebackers that were so dominant.
Well, I mean, the Bears don't want to pay their legends to come in and do any of that type of
really.
If you believe what Olin Kreutz says, Olin Kreutz said they was trying to pay me less than minimum wage to come in to do a little sideline coaching. So, and Brian, he's got friends in high places. He's actually a Hall of Famer. So, he ain't doing that. He's getting all that road game money and that MAGA money. So he ain't got time for no what do you call it? $13 an hour.
We get all our old guys in almost every year.
Yeah, well,
and they come in willingly.
I mean, you all do things a little differently up there. The Bears, they be behind the times sometimes. Maybe to speaking to our matriarch leaving might change some of that, but
it has to do with ownership. Yep.
Yeah, ownership definitely has to pony up sometimes, and ponying up they do not in certain areas. We kind of like the Cleveland Browns in that respect.
B. Foster, you have a wish list, free agent wish list, if not names, positions.
Yeah, as far as positions, I would love to see some upgrades at the cornerback position as well as the edge rusher. The one sleeper position being an upgrade at the linebacker position, just more impactful impactful playmakers at the linebacking position. I see that Zach Bond, the Eagle, the guy that just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, he's out there. He finished the year the second highest rated PFF rating with 90 at the linebacking position. So I'm sure that'll come at a very pretty penny, but I certainly would see him as an upgrade over Derek Barnes, who's on our team. That's also a free agent. As far as cornerback, DJ Reed from the Jets and Charvarius Ward, who played for the 49ers. Now Ward had a pretty down year, but he's 1 year removed, just 1 year removed, a 5 interception year. So that would be maybe a nice buy low option. But I think that I would like to retain Carlton Davis. He had a really good year. He, in his 1 year prove it deal situation, I feel like he proved it before his injury. So if we were able to retain him and then possibly, I'd be hard pressed to just say that, just put Terrion Arnold back out there. He's good to go. If we can find a way to bring in another guy and have Arnold compete for that outside corner position, I feel more comfortable with that. And then as far as the edge is concerned, Khalil Mack for sure, and Josh Sweat. On the biggest stage in all of sports, he had 2 sacks and 2.5 sacks and 6 pressures. I would love to see that type of production in Detroit. He could play, opposite Hutch, or along, Zadarius Smith can maybe be the depth guy to kind of be, in a reserve role behind Hutch and Sweat. I think that would be a nice rotation right there. If the guy that's coming in as a fresh body is Zadarius Smith, that's not a bad option.
Okay. Going around the room, and I got a question for each one of you.
Well, I thought Zadarius Smith was going to Chicago this year to complete the circuit.
No.
Well, I think they will probably bring him back. I know we would get a decent salary break by cutting him, but I think that he did enough, especially because we were dependent upon him amongst the other guys that were basically bagging groceries before the year was started. So he held it down for us as our strongest edge rusher.
Yeah, I'm gonna go around the room and I'm gonna ask a different question for each team. Dave, what are you hearing about the quarterback situation in Minnesota? What is going to happen at that position there? Because Sam Darnold had his breakout season, and just want to know, what's the word? You drafted JJ McCarthy. What's going on?
We're going to talk about it tonight on the Real Fordo Show when we're doing bold free agent predictions. There's a hype. We are going to talk about it. There are different camps in the fan base. I'm all for JJ McCarthy. Bring him on. There are the group that says he won 14 games. You got to bring Sam Darnold back. And then you go, yeah, but what are you going to pay him? We had the whole problem with that Kirk Cousins was making $40 million, and that hinders your ability to fix holes on the other, different parts of the roster, i.e. interior offensive line, a defensive corner or two, a safety possibly, or, a interior trench guy on the defense that could push the pocket. It's a big quandary. Now, there's also rumors of, hey, we need to bring in Aaron Rodgers, complete the loop, do Brett Favre version 2. What a golden season that'll be. And everybody's like, no. But it's being pushed in the national press. There's other national press talking about getting Stafford. Maybe we should get Stafford instead. Right. And it's just like, you're out of your mind. But it's a volatile situation. Most of the fan base is all for let the JJ McCarthy era begin. And then we'll bring Danny Dimes as a backup, quote, could compete, bridge, whatever you want to call it. But he's number 2. He's QB2. And then probably Rippon will be 3. But that's what we're talking about in Minnesota. And the QB topic is a big one.
Yeah. Pay, I got a question for you. I got to dress it up a little bit, though. Let's say, for instance, you do fix that offensive line. You have that stable of running backs. Now, being that you address the offensive line, do you look into a different running back, or do you roll with what you have? And tell them who you have.
Well, DeAndre Swift is the RB1 over here in Chicago, and Ben Johnson is now the head coach in Chicago. We've seen those two work together, and it did not work. It did not turn out in roses, right? We've seen Ben Johnson get rid of Swift before. Maybe second time around, you spin the block. Maybe their googly eyes will happen, and they holy matrimony and all the other fun stuff happens in Chicago. I wouldn't bet any money on that. I would assume that DeAndre Swift's days are numbered the day they hired Ben Johnson. And but yeah, that's pretty much as it goes. The number one thing to do in Chicago is you have to get those big guys.
That sounds interesting.
That was wild.
I don't know. Weird internet things. Crazy. But anyway, Swift is to answer your question. Yeah, Swift ain't always I don't think he's going to be well liked too much in Chicago.
Hey, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be watching with interest to see what you guys do or don't do. I always look for, laugh points in the division.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
So, obviously, something went wrong on. We got an end where we're not hearing any volume.
Yep. Well, I can hear you, Dave. I did want to ask.
And I can hear you, and I can hear Foster.
John.
I did want to ask, if in the event that they don't want to start off the season with J.J. McCarthy being QB1, is there any hope that we can find Aaron Rodgers back in the NFC North? Please, fingers crossed.
Oh, God, I hope not. I'd be so against that. It would be my worst nightmare. But I was against Favre coming, and it turned out to be a magical season. So never say never, except for the problem with Aaron Rodgers is he's a locker room cancer. The dude is messed up. And I don't think we need that sort of influence on a young J.J. McCarthy, number one, but on the rest of the team, no. Bad. When Brett Favre came over, he wasn't a locker room cancer. He was, fun. Slapped guys on the butt and told jokes and, took them out for steak dinners and all that sort of stuff. No, I don't want to see him. No, not even close. Now, tonight, Tyler's going to be arguing for, because Tyler's a big Sam Darnold guy, but he's going to be arguing for Sam Darnold, which I think is a mistake. At 6:00,
we got to bring Aaron Rodgers back, Dave. I'm sorry.
I hope not. I really, really hope not. I will turn in. Back when I started originally blogging, we had Childress as head coach, and I had a firing meter going on my website. And if they bring Aaron Rodgers, that meter's coming back.
Romance is in the air for Valentine's Day. And when you're ready to pop the question, all you need is the perfect moment to come around. And, of course, the ring. At BlueNile.com, you can find thousands of natural and lab-grown diamonds, plus legendary service from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who can answer every question, help you design a custom ring, and even plan the proposal. So seize the day today. Right now, you can save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
June, we still can't hear
no
you,
June. So you know why I want him back? It's in the prophecy, Dave. The Bears have to end his career. The Bears, just like Favre.
Just like Favre. Frozen field, smash.
We got to put Corey
Woolton.
Exactly. Corey Woolton is forever goated as a Chicago Bear for ending Favre's career as his NFL career, because as he came back for the Vikings, put him in the paint, put him in the dirt. We got to do the same thing to Aaron Rodgers. The ghost will not stop haunting us until we extract him from the field.
I hope not. But hey, who knows? I have no idea how it's going to actually work out. I wish I did. I'd make some money on it, but I don't. Speaking of money, I saw playoff odds or Super Bowl odds came out this week for the division. And the one with a plus 900 right behind the Eagles, who are favored at plus 600, and the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills at plus 700, are the Detroit Lions. B. Foster, you think they're going to last that long? That the window hasn't closed?
No, the window's not closed. I do think this is a very pivotal year this year coming up, because I think I stated last week, a lot of those extensions are going to kick in. After next season. So this is our last year where we have a decent amount of salary cap to play around with. So we got some decisions to make coming up, whether it's going to be extending Kirby Joseph, or still got to extend Aiden Hutchinson. Jamison Williams is eligible for 4 years, 80, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, as much as we love the team right now, everybody can't go, because when you have a lot of good players, a lot of people are going to be eligible for big extensions. So, got decisions to make, but while the team is intact and relatively established, we need to make the best of those years. So,
are you worried about the 3/4 of your coaching staff has departed?
No. I mean, I think that good teams, I can't remember what team it was. Oh no, I think it was the Eagles, who somebody in their fan base was just saying that, Jalen Hurts, he needs some continuity at offensive. Because what's the quarterback? What's the ex-Dallas QB quarterback? He was a backup, whatever his name is.
Quincy Carter?
No, he's on the Eagles, or was on the Eagles staff. What is his name? Maybe that's not him.
Kellen Moore? He was a quarterback, wasn't he?
Right. Was his last name Moore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore took over for this head coaching job with the Saints.
Of the Saints, yeah. So yeah, moral story, good teams lose coordinators, they become head coaches other places, and you gotta adjust and and bring in new guys to mold them. And we hired from within. I mean, the defensive coordinator was from within, Kelvin Shepard, and then Morton left and came back to us. So these are guys that have been under the regime of Campbell before, and he's comfortable with them. So I have faith that we can continue to create from within.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'll finish off with the Super Bowl odds for 2025. Green Bay comes in next at plus 1,800. And then Minnesota and Chicago are tied at plus 4,000. Now, with Minnesota, it's got to be because we have a rookie untested quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. So, well, who will no longer be a rookie, but untested.
And you said Chicago, the Bears is plus 4,000?
Yep. From
that's good money.
DraftKings.
You heard it here, folks. The value's there.
Tennessee Titans at plus 20,000.
No, that's no money.
If you win, you're big time. But you ain't gonna win.
Yeah, no. The question I was going to ask you, Foster. We touched on the defense and stuff like that and talked about that. Do you tinker with the offense at all during the off season? If you do, what do you add? What do you take away?
Maybe. Well, I feel like a lot of the teams have faith with if Kevin Zeitler ends up going elsewhere. I think we have faith in Mahogany that he can kind of take over. He was one of our project guys that hadn't played much football, and he's a physical specimen, but he was raw overall as far as his experience is concerned. So I could see us possibly getting some depth, in insurance if we don't decide to bring Zeitler back. Outside of that, I think this is the year for Hendon Hooker. It's sink or swim for him to see if he's going to really be our backup quarterback. Maybe you bring in a Khalif Raymond upgrade. He had some injuries, and he's reliable, but I think we could venture to improve at his position. But outside of that, I mean, I think we're stacked at running back. Jared Goff is the quarterback for us, and tight end we're pretty solid. Laporta, Brock Wright. I know James Mitchell was gone, but we still got Shane Zylstra, if I'm not mistaken. So offense, I'm not really worried about too much. It's solidifying the trenches because we had a ton of injuries last year. McNeil ended up getting hurt. Wingo ended up getting hurt. Hutch was hurt. So yeah, solidifying the trenches and making sure that we have a solid two corners is my biggest concern.
Right. I feel that. So we can go ahead and wrap it up. If we want to go around the room and tell the people what you got going on today. I know Dave got a show tonight that you don't want to miss if you're especially if you're a Minnesota Viking fan. I'm going to try and finish up my work so I can chime in. But Dave, tell them what you got going on tonight and where they can find you.
Tonight we have the Real 4-0 show, and we're talking about bold free agent predictions. And one of them is going to be Sam Darnold, like I said, and I think Tyler's going to advocate to keep him. I will be on the opposite side of that debate. And if you missed it last night, we had Sculptures and Spice with Sally Spice, and we interviewed Eli Corbett, who's one of the designers at Unreal, UNRL. They make hoodies for teams in the NFL. They're expanding their lineup. You will see them soon in all 4 cities of the NFC North. Great product.
I gotta ask you, did you say Scoldgers and Spice?
Scoldgers and Spice, yes.
As in like Scoldger Field? Never.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, where
we own the turf. Yes.
Damn.
What you got going on, Pay? This is the CEO, and he's a very busy guy, and he got a lot of good stuff going on with the frustrated Chicago Bears. But I'll let him tell you about it. What you got going on there, Pay?
Over at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, we got some good stuff coming up the rest of this month, mostly basketball related. Bulls, unrivaled talk about how the Chicago Sky players are doing in that league as well. We're going to dive into some more football talk starting next month as the new league year begins. Free agent talk, draft preparation, things of that nature. So don't want to miss out because there's always something going on that channel. Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel on YouTube. Also available everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and everywhere else.
Who let the dogs out?
I tried to warn you.
Foster, what you got going on there?
Oh, the pitchers and catchers. I feel like we've been talking about it for a long time, but they have officially reported. So we're definitely going to be doing a lot of coverage on everything Detroit Tigers coming up. And the Pistons, boy, oh boy, did they put a whooping on the Bulls last night. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, we should have a lot of coverage, hopefully going into the playoffs for them as well. So lot going on.
Yeah, and I'll probably go live tonight after the Pistons game because that's the last game before the break. So that's we'll see how that goes. And you can find us on Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube. Fellas, I want to thank you for being here. We will continue this. Just because the season is over doesn't mean we are over. We'll see us back here Wednesday. Dave is hosting, and we will be back here Wednesday to talk more football, more off-season stuff. So I want to ask Dave, what do they say in Vikings land?
We say, Skol Vikings!
I don't want to ask him, but I guess I got to. Pay. What are they uttering over there in Chicago?
All we say is bear down, and please don't go live to rub the Bulls fans' nose in it just because you all were up 43 points second quarter. Like these special live shows just from beating the Bulls, you're better than that, June. You're better than that.
No, the
bear down.
The special live show was because the season is the All-Star break. It has nothing to do with beating the Bulls. I did a special live show last week when we beat the Bulls, though.
Mm-hmm. Wink, wink.
I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Well, thank you guys. You guys are the greatest, I tell you, man. What we say in Detroit?
That was lame.
I don't like.
You need a meow.
I don't like using the pride slogan, so we'll just end the show with that. Subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube.
Get your lick back. If a nugget on you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back.